New patch, new maps, new patch, new maps, new maps, new patch, new patch, new map. Ladies and gentlemen, StarCraft 2 has just received a patch. Many people believed that they had lost connection to the StarCraft servers, but I'm happy to report they made a new patch and just shipped it today. Let's see this. There's a map pool update. Oh wait, no, this is to PTR. Don't get too excited. This is to PTR. Okay. It's PTR, it's not live. The maps, Golden Aura, same. Side Delta, same. Oceanborn, same. Post Youth, new. Amphion, new. Crimson Court, new. Dynasty, that's new. Alcyone, not new. Ghost River is new. So they've got 4 old, 5 new. Cool. 2v2 maps, I'm not sure. Overgrowth is a 2v2 map, or did they make a specific one? That's crazy. Trisha said she was happy to see Shipwrecked as a Force map. I don't know which of these are returning and if there's a new one. Balance update, here we go. Zerg Cabal guide us. General. Worker attack range is increased from 0.1 to 0.2. That is doubling their attack range. That's crazy. Workers are going to be that much more dangerous. Worker inner radius, which is the collision with terrain and structures, was reduced from 0.375 to 0.3125. So workers are not only able to attack twice as far, they are also more maneuverable in going through spaces. This is a big buff to workers in general, of all 3 kinds. So let's just give it up for all the workers that are now better at what they do. Reduce the footprint size of Vespene geysers. Okay. Zerg rocks now lose HP off creep. The thing that I'm stuck on here is it doesn't really tell us what Zerg rocks are or where they are. I'm assuming they're being added to the 1v1 maps, but I have not seen this yet. Why would there be Zerg rocks? Rocks are not good for Zerg. I guess that's why these are just dying. Interesting. Mineral fields now have 500 HP, which can be killed by collapsible rock towers. You just destroy the money on the map so no one gets it. I could see how this is an advantage for being an aggressive player. If you have the army advantage on the map early, this is a way to punish your opponent from being turtled up. Seems cool. Kind of feels like a box that you would just need to check off on that map, so it's a little bit tedious, but yeah, you could weave that into a strategy, I guess. Interesting. Terran, the Liberator. I guess my question is, how many of these they're going to be on the new maps? And how do they not take damage from other stuff? I feel like it's going to be bugged in some cases and people can just kill people's minerals. Terran. These are the Terran changes. The Liberator. Advanced ballistic range reduced from 3 to 2. So this is the upgrade to Liberators. Instead of them getting 3, they're getting 2. 50% decrease. Is that right? We're now getting 2/3 what we got before. That's 666 repeating. 66.6 of your value. So Terrans are sad here. So already off the bat, Terrans are sad and getting nerfed. Widowmine, invisibility while reloading now requires Drilling Claws upgrade instead of a constructed armory. Okay, so this is a Widowmine nerf. Terrans in shambles. Everyone else, hooray! You know, Zerg Cabal, wink. Splash damage radius reduced from 1.75 to 1.5. Okay, so they're just dealing less of an AoE area than before. Wow. Another Widowmine nerf. Now gives an attack alert to the enemy when burrowing in range of enemy units. So now you receive in your mail, in your email, a notification that you're about to receive Widowmine damage and to which unit on the battlefield it's going. Increase visibility of targeted line and targeted unit. So the unit turns a little bit red, and there's a pretty bright red line that goes to it. That just helps the opponent. Okay. Armory is now cheaper though because you're losing that benefit of invisibility from mines. Makes sense. This is a Terran buff, by the way. This could mean slightly earlier Hellbat attacks or something. This isn't a huge difference, but for that armory unlock, you do get Hellbat tech from that, so you have that 50 gas sooner. Engineering Bay, infantry weapons and armor upgrades cost reduced from this to this. So 50 cheaper at the top rank, 25 cheaper at the second rank, and then the same at the first. Interesting. So Terran upgrade timings for bio are going to be a little bit sharper, a little bit more affordable, so you have less of an excuse to not get 3-3 with your bio. Interesting. So this is a Terran buff. We're buffing bio. This hurts the Zerg. Zerg Cabal, what are you doing? Cyclone, weapon cooldown increased, so they don't attack as often. Lock-on now, cooldown increase from 0 to 2.86. They didn't have a cooldown on lockdown before. Can't believe we survived this period. No wonder they feel strong. Okay, so this is a nerf. Damage bonus per weapon upgrade increased from 1 to 2. I feel like this is good because most of the times I feel like they're abusing Cyclones against me. They just have no upgrades, and I'm just confused at why upgrades don't matter. So nerfing them, but then buffing their upgrade benefit seems cool. Weapon now has turret tracking, turns faster, remove damage point. Okay. So it's like an immortal in a tank with how it shoots stuff. Health increase from 110 to 130. A little bit more durable. More durable. Turtle Wurtle, thank you for supporting the stream. Raven, interference matrix can no longer target units already targeted or affected by interference matrix. So this makes it easier to just put that on a full army. That's a buff. Raven buff. I've already seen Protoss complaining about this on Twitter. Or I don't know if they're Protoss in particular. But people have said words about this. Zerg. Let's go. Here we go. Hatchery, Lair, Hive, creep spread radius increase from 12 to 13. That's really good for us. Basically just around your base. You're more likely to fill into the full main, or at least more of your main base. So that's going to make it a little bit more comfy just defending harass stuff within your base. You'll be able to see a little bit further. Or at least the ground is more sticky, which is also good for us. I'm not sure if we actually gain vision. That's a question. That's a question. We gain creep, which is speed, which is good. We like that. Infestor fungal growth range increase from 9 to 10. So you can fungal from farther away. That's legitimate. I like that. That's a buff. Vision range while burrowed reduced from 10 to 8. That's a Serral nerf. Unburrowed time increase from 0.36 to 0.71 to 0.54 to 0.71 seconds. Range relates to random delay. So I guess infestors randomly crawl out of the ground at slightly different speeds. But now they've tightened up that range. So they're more consistent with how they unburrow. Burrowed infestors now more visible while moving. Interesting. But they are not visible while stationary, which is why Serral just keeps some on the map off a hotkey. So this isn't really a nerf to him. It's a nerf to like having a squad of infestors in general, but yeah, it's kind of a nerf. Yeah, this is a nerf. So this is a slight nerf because you're losing the fastest potential infestor unburrow times. This is a nerf, and this is a buff. So the infestor's gotten some attention. Cool. Overlord morph time increased, so it takes a little bit longer to make them, about 3 seconds. Transport Overlord move speed increased from 1.1 to 1.28. And then this is the respective speed with Overlord speed. That's awesome. Overlord drops are faster and more dangerous now. That's cool. How about removing Infestor? They won't stop nerfing it. It got about as many buffs as nerfs, though. We can't be that mad. This is kind of good for us. This is very good for us. This I feel like doesn't matter that much. This I also feel like doesn't matter that much. And this I'm not sure how visible it is because I haven't seen it yet. But it's not a big deal. Zerg just won the last big tournament. We can calm down. Zerg is playable. It's hard, but it's playable. Calm down. Protoss. Okay. Observer. Build time reduced from 21.4 to 17.8. Oof, DT is in shambles. Or Widow Mines, I guess, with Drilling Claws. Health and shields increase from 40-20 to 40-30, so they gain 10 shields. Observers are thick. Model size increased by 10%. Surveillance mode animation speed increased by 75, so they go into the watch mode where they don't move faster. Sentry damage increased from 6 to 6+4 versus shields. Light attribute tag removed. They are now slightly better against Banelings. Cool. Banelings did super hard counter them. Just because it's really hard to force field out all the Banelings of a Zerg army. They usually get to the sentries. Pylon's sight range increased from 9 to 10. Pylons can now see further than before. If you have a pylon, it can see 10 range from it. What is this for? I guess I'm asking chat. I'm not a Protoss. Is this like to defend yourself against cannons? So like your pylons are more likely to see what's happening in your base? Why do we have pylon vision range? TVP spotter pylon. It's for drops. Oh. Mostly for drops from Tyrannus scouts. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I don't really know how this would change anything against Zerg. It's like it doesn't change my ability to spot the pylon. And they have a probe with the pylon if they're doing a proxy, so the probe is going to be seeing stuff anyway. Also, Overlord Nidus. That's true. Bug fixes and quality of life update. Cool. Fix an issue where Banelings could deal additional damage on ramps. What? Generate creep on overlords now activates all for selected overlord types. Really? So that means if I have a mixture in my current selection of regular overlords and dropper lords, if I tell them to drop creep, it will drop for all of them. That's cool. That's a quality of life thing. I like that. Yeah, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Overlords dropping creep is always a plus if you're a Zerg. It's pretty much always a plus. So if you really wanted to min-max your gaming, you would have all your overlords dropping creep somewhere on the map all the time if they weren't going to die to air or an attack, just because that gives you more creep on the ground. So anything that allows us to have more creep is good. This is good. Zerg Cabal, I see you. Thank you. Lurker subgroup priority increased. Now is higher priority than Ravager. The times that I have Ravagers and Lurkers in an army is seldom. They're pretty much always in a different control group for me. So this helps someone, probably. Fix an issue where Immortals would not fire while surrounded by units or covered by force fields. Well, it's probably because they're sad and they gave up, no? Immortal turret now tracks previously attacked unit. Tooltip fix. Recall fixes. Feedback can no longer units with no energy. No longer can it. Units. Feedback can no longer units with no energy. I feel like I'm missing something. They tried. Tempest tectonic destabilizers now applies to attack targeting flying buildings. Cool. This is against Terrans who are rage lifting around the corners of the map. That's a good fix. Fix an issue where Guardian Shield will not apply to units on a different cliff level. That's good. I'm glad they're including people of different altitudes. It's very inclusive of them. Fix an issue where certain Vespene geysers would not update visually when depleted. Rock appearance on the map. Oh! I think I've seen this one before. Sometimes if you creep near a rock, the rock will like expand or contract in reaction to what you just did, but then it kind of goes back to normal. It's weird. I think that's what they're talking about. Maybe this is minimap though, and not that. Maybe the rocks will still be weird. Interesting. So overall for this patch, it's not a crazy ambitious patch. They didn't really make big changes. This is an interesting one. Couple quality of life things. I want to know more about these Zerg rocks. Why do we have Zerg rocks? How many mineral fields are going to be destroyed on these maps? I don't know. Terran, nerf, buff, nerf, buff. So Cyclone is kind of 50-50, it feels like. At least in the number of things, not necessarily in the intensity. Bio is buffed, Armory is cheaper, Raven is buffed. So Terran got nerf, buff, and we'll say this is break even. Zerg got buff, break even. I would say that overall this is a buff. Move speed seems way more valuable than the morph time. That's 3 seconds, but then it's a drop overload for the rest of its life. So I think this is I would call this a buff. So say this is buff, break even buff for Zerg, and this is buff, and buff. But all of these are tiny buffs. This seems tiny. This is maybe medium buff. It's not a huge difference in speed, but that's pretty fun. I'm excited to use that. Infester seems like a 50-50. This seems not very consequential. Not super huge unless you're fighting a mech-based army or a Protoss army. We'll see. I feel like this is good for me as a Zerg. This nerf feels nice, and this also feels nice. And this forces them to macro more, which I like. This one, I'm not sure how that's going to feel in battles. And then this 20 HP, meh. It seems like it's more about whether or not I can surround the Cyclones or not, how well I do for them, rather than how much health they have. Cost reduced for this. This is not super huge, but something. Honestly, this one is probably the spookiest. I feel like this is going to really help people who are already good at bio. Because this helps you in all matchups too. This is an all matchup buff. And then the Widowmine, just hard nerf. Let's say overall for the patch is a Widowmine nerf. Primarily. That seems like what was most aggressively hit. Cool. Thank you, Zerg Cabal, for this patch. Overall, as a Zerg, I'm pretty happy about it. Looking forward to seeing Cero continue to win.